Welcome to my screencast. I'll be explaining the different enterprises of esports, showing you some examples, going into depth in one type of enterprise that is well known, and then sharing my ideas for a company that I have come up with on my own. There are many types of esports enterprises, uh, each one with a different branch all to itself. There's the playing area, which is focused around esports teams that play in tournaments or singular games. Analytics, which is focused on analysts and coach who will give feedback from analysis from they will analyze a game, give feedback to the players so that they can improve upon themselves and the team. The marketing, which is the promotion and marketing of esports, so social media managers who will engage with fans through the team's social media, promoting the team at the same time, and event managers who will market esport tournament games and esports teams, uh, management. So you'll have your agency you can hire to manage something for you. You got the team manager who will manage all the individual team members, where they're going, who they're playing with, what teams on, what teams are they on, all this stuff. And then you've got content, which is the enterprise related to the creation and publishing of content. So, like a YouTube creator who makes videos, a streamer who will stream themselves playing games whilst interacting with their fans, a publisher who will make games and then publish them for a price, journalists, I guess, and distributors. Uh, You've also got support, so solicitors, statisticians, finance, team logistics, and technical support. So all of these are just people who help with basic stuff. Uh, like a technical support, you'll help with any technical problems that have been encountered. And you have the product enterprise, which is related to the product side of esports. So you'll have developers, broadcasters, producers, merchandise, all of that stuff. Uh, an example for content would be streaming, obviously, but a good company for this would be Twitch, as it's one of the largest live streaming services in the current market. The people who will stream on Twitch earn money by uh, having people donate to their stream through an in-app currency called bits, or subscriptions to their channels, which can either be paid monthly or can just pay themselves renewal. If you want more detail, I've got some more detail there, so be free to read. Another content example would be game publishers. So obviously these are people who will publish a game, so they'll get developers to use the website or extension or app to publish their games for them, and we'll put a price on that game, and every purchase for it, they'll get a certain amount, and they'll give the developers a certain amount. And an example of analytics would be coaching, so being able to hire a coach that will train and give advice to the team so they can improve and get better. And it'll also help them learn more about possible enemies by having the team sit down, watch recordings of the opponents during their matches so that they can build strategies around them to better attack the opponents. And an example for marketing would be tournaments. People, well, tournaments will be organizers for tournaments will advertise it, obviously, and it'll most likely be streamed uh, globally, as well as taking place in a large, sometimes depending on the event, arena, where people can buy tickets to come and see it in person, where you'll most likely find lots of stands selling different kind of merchandise for the teams that are currently playing, or just for the tournament itself. Now, these tournaments will obviously have a large prize for the winners, which attracts esports teams and attention to the game that the tournament is based upon, which causes people to play that game, and which causes the developers to earn more money. And this means that the developers will most likely pay the tournament holders because they probably sponsored the event to boost player activity in their game. Now, identification of opportunities. That's one of the biggest things that someone who wants to get into a good enterprise needs, because without being able to identify any opportunities, you're not going to go very far. Because if you can't spot a gap in the market and take advantage of that, you're not going to end up making an enterprise. You're just going to make another company that will do mediocre or may fail. You'll need leadership to be able to lead your team properly without any unnecessary difficulties. And you've got to be comfortable with the fact that sometimes your ideas won't work and you'll probably have a lot of wasted money. But that's just a part of it. If you don't venture, you won't gain anything. So these people who go into new markets that haven't been touched yet, haven't been tested, you could say, the testers for it. But if it succeeds, there's a massive payoff because they'll have a monopoly over that market at the time, leading to mass amounts of success. Now, these are obviously skills that someone who has an enterprise will obviously have. But there's a difference between skills and behaviors for these type of people. Skills are something you could refine over time, but behaviors are something that you inherently have that will affect how you live. You could alter your behaviors, improve them, negatively impact them, but it's a lot harder than to just refine your skills over time. Now, the enterprise I have chosen to go into detail on is Valve, possibly one of the biggest game publishers ever to grace the industry. Every game they have released has either shaped the current market or has had major success. Now, they have shown entrepreneurial skills and behaviors, and by by having good leadership and by having this, they could easily motivate their employees to make better games, smoother games, nicer games. Everyone loves that. And this, in turn, means there's a higher chance of that game shaking up the market, which also very much increases the chance of success of that game. Now, that's a big part of the main purpose So this is highly important. They'll also want to be able to spot a gap in the market that they took advantage of. Uh, well, they did by making high quality games for obscure genres. Like, for example, Half-Life. It took advantage of the fact that no other games had a story-driven first-person action focused game at the time, and it it made what first-person shooters, I guess, like based upon nowadays, because at the time most people would just play Doom or Quake, where it's just you put in a quarter in, you put in like a 25p or a quarter, and you play a game. You just keep playing. It's just levels that you beat, no story involved. But Half-Life revolutionized that by having a story in place that it captured gamers' attention and made them feel like they could escape reality for a certain amount of time and just enjoy something new. And after this was released, it's definitely changed the marketplace. Everything's got a story nowadays, and some of the most popular types of games in this current time wouldn't have existed if it weren't for that. Now, as you could probably tell, they've achieved mass success through making games. All Pretty much all of their games have either been revolutionary or extremely good in the standards of the current time, sometimes even beyond them. And they all managed to rake in huge amounts of money for the company. Now, skills, knowledge, and behaviors help them achieve this objective because it helped them realize the vision they had for their games. Because if they couldn't lay down and put in the work to actually get this vision into reality, it just would have stayed that. It just would have stayed a dream, and no one would have ever known about it except for the people who thought about it. So, by being able to successfully turn this very good idea into reality through their skills, they were very successful. Because there was so much passion there. Now, my idea that I came up with and finalized on was to create an enterprise focused around coaching. You've probably seen websites that you can go on to and hire a coach to teach you in like maths or English or science, whatever you really want. But what I'm trying to make is a company that focuses around coaches on all different types of games. So if you wanted to learn more about the esports scene for Overwatch and wanted to get into that, you could hire a coach that is highly good in that specific area. Or if you wanted to play Valorant professionally, you could get a professional Valorant coach instead. It's all. It just makes it a lot easier for people, because if they know what coach they're getting, then they're probably gonna get the coach. Because if there wasn't that little tidbit there telling them what they're best at, they'd be gambling with the skills of the coach. So that's very important. I would create it in a limited company focused on playing, uh, as it would give me many benefits. Uh, because although there are some disadvantages, it outweighs them quite a bit. And although you'd think it'd be more an analytics perspective, there is a bit, but it's mainly focused on the playing. Uh, Now, some advantages of this would be the fact that there's limited liability. We can get shareholders and have an easier time securing funding and control and responsibilities. These are all crucial things that are needed in the company. Because with funding, we'll be able to set a groundwork first and slowly work our way up and get a stable grasp on the market without having to rush and have terrible foundations upon. Now, control is also very important because uh, it keeps hostile takeovers from happening. Because by having control of the company, uh, we'll be able to stop people who want to buy mass amounts of shares from getting complete control over the company. And this is good because there's been cases many times before of much bigger companies buying all the shares of smaller companies that have great ideas and just completely taking them over. And that we don't want that. Nobody wants that. That's bad. So at the cost of having higher startup costs, uh, reporting requirements and registration requirements, obviously. But it's all very small considering the amount of benefits that you get out of it. And obviously, this would all help fund the team of players with equipment that will help them practice, uh, better themselves, and improve the performance. Uh, it also makes sure that the company is not completely reliant on tournament winnings because uh, that's it's bad. If you rely completely on tournament winnings, then it's not going to go well. Um, at the moment, though, the company's just an idea, and it hasn't had anything put forward towards actualizing it yet. But over the course of 5 years, we expect to at least have a solid foundation ready for the introduction and establishment of our company. We can accomplish this by sending partnership requests to companies that have a similar idea to us, or we can try and get them to invest in the idea of our company by showing them the research we've done and why we know that this will succeed. After the establishment of the company, we expect to be spending 2 to 3 years firmly taking a hold of the market by slowly getting more and more esport coaches under our company and establishing a well-known and well-trusted name for ourselves in the esports industry. Now, before I made this and finalized it, I had people fill out a questionnaire that had a fair few questions around, all around whether they would use the company and how they'd improve it, any suggestions they would have. And most of the people said they would hire a coach when they were younger if it was easier to find them and had a better description of what they would make them better in. And like the games they excel at teaching so that they hired the right coach. This is a very good point because you may just say, oh, professional esports coach for £10 an hour, probably a lot more expensive. It doesn't tell you what they're the best at teaching you on. So you could hire them expecting to be taught the ins and outs of Overwatch, but end up being taught the ins and outs of League of Legends, which is a completely different game. They've also said that they could see the esports coaching market increasing due to the constant rise of professional esports and the gaming industry as a whole. Uh, I, I agree with this massively because over the years, esports has just been growing and growing. It used to just be a niche market of a couple of thousand, maybe 100,000 people at the most like largest events. But as the years are going on, you're seeing millions upon millions of people showing up to these events all over the world. Uh, and the gaming industry has grown rapidly, going from a little niche market that everyone looked down upon to one of the biggest industries of the current like world market at the minute. Uh, they also said that having a good description for a coach is a must, as they wouldn't risk hiring a coach that they wouldn't have much of an idea as to what they can give them better experience and knowledge in. So, although they might specify what they could teach you in, they wouldn't specify what experience and knowledge they could give you. But like tactics focused, like map awareness focused, skill focused, stuff like this. It would make them a lot more confident in the choice of a coach and would improve the chances of them ever hiring a coach. Now, from the research that has been conducted, I've gathered that there are already similar companies out there that have done things like this before, but none of them have never really focused on the esports market. Uh, they tend to focus on the regular stuff like science, English, mathematics. You may even see the word nuclear scientist. Uh, but it isn't very touched upon in the esports market. And looking at other similar companies, they achieved a good amount of success because there wasn't much competition in the beginning, and the market was, I'd say, it was pretty high in demand. As time goes on, though, from what I've researched, esports as a whole, tournaments, just electronic sports in general, has just been increasing in popularity, just constant rise. There's been a bit of a plateau over the last few years, but it's still going up. It's not stopped for quite a while. There's a massive increase during 2019 due to COVID because everyone started to get games and play them all the time because they were locked inside. Now, this is also due to the fact that more people want to get into the esports industry. Uh, like how at the start, content creation, like YouTubing, was seen as a joke. Uh, but as time's gone on, it's shown to be quite a successful market. Tons of people want to try and do that nowadays. It's the same with the esports industry. A lot more people want to try and get into it and do it because it's something that they like and enjoy doing, and to be able to earn money by doing it is it feels less of a job and more of just a fun time to them. So it's, I feel like my research was appropriate as it gives a good idea in the coaching market and how well areas outside of the growing esports market did, giving me an idea of whether something like this would be plausible and profitable, whilst also giving me further ideas on how to improve my company by taking inspiration from other companies and their success. Now, that's what I've got for my main idea that I've finalized and I'm going with. But I did have other ideas. One I will go into was one that was revolved around the creation of my own team. Now, after going into lots of research, I found that the current market isn't the best for a new esports team because it's very oversaturated uh, due to the rise and surplus of esports teams being made. So, although we could have a solid start, we'd probably see mass amounts of people just move into other esports teams, and we'd lose all our funding probably. So it'd probably just collapse within 2 to 5 years, maybe 10 if we're lucky. A good example of why I decided to not venture into that industry is Atlanta Reigns. They were a professional Overwatch esports team that started in 2018. They performed very well and were quite heavily loved and enjoyed. But at the a couple months back, they announced the closure due to unknown circumstances. Uh, but it was most likely due to the winnings from tournaments not being high enough and more frequent, therefore leading to uh, not enough money to support the team and have enough money to get them the equipment they need. So after researching all of that, I concluded that that industry would have been a dead end at the minute. Maybe in the future it'll open up again, but at the minute the coaching industry that I've looked into has just more open space and less competition to build a foundation upon. So that's what I've got for my assignment. If you want to go back and redo everything I've got down, you can gladly do so, just to check whether everything's good or not. Uh, but yeah, that's all I've got for now. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Bye.